Here is, with that, my top 5 quarterback rankings. Now, OutKick has its final NFL draft rankings up, but here are my top 5 quarterbacks. These are the 5 quarterbacks that sort of uniformly are expected to be the first off the board. 4 of them are in the SEC, by the way. No conference has ever had more than 2 quarterbacks drafted in the first round. Pretty much a certainty the SEC will have at least 3, possibility of 4 depending on what happens with Hendon Hooker. Here's how I would break them down and why I would break them down this way. By the way, last hour of the show, about 45 minutes ago, we had Senator Marco Rubio on. I encourage you to go listen to Senator Marco Rubio's breakdown of the NFL draft. It was absolutely incredible. The dude is a big sports fan, the opposite of a lot of politicians who pretend to be sports fans and then get shown up when they actually talk about sports. So, top 5 quarterback ratings, Bryce Young. Bryce Young, to me, is the best player that I saw at the quarterback position on the field last year, okay? So, I would break down Bryce Young, and I would say my concerns are his height, his build, his durability. Everything else I feel like is flawless. He moves, Bryce Young does, in the pocket in a mobile way while still keeping his eyes downfield better than almost anyone I've seen at the college level. Now, there are lots of mobile quarterbacks, right? Guys who can take off and run at a moment's notice. What I see Bryce Young do is move in the pocket to throw. And that, to me, is a potential big-time asset in the NFL. In fact, what I think Bryce Young does so well is throw from different angles and find a way to be accurate from non-stationary positions. I think that augurs very well for his ability to make plays in the NFL. So I've got Bryce Young, best player that I saw on the field, number 1 overall. Second quarterback on my board. Maybe controversial. Some people are going to be surprised. Anthony Richardson. I love the ceiling of what Anthony Richardson can be. I'm big on thinking probabilistically about quarterbacks, about draft picks in general. To me, Anthony Richardson is, at his apex, Josh Allen 2.0. Big, strong, fast, can move, can run over anybody, can get you a short yardage gain if you need it to extend drives. Inaccurate at college. Watched him play every game at Florida. Understand why Dan Mullen didn't have him necessarily as a starter because he didn't feel like he could trust him. But his ceiling, if you give him a couple of years to develop, if you remember what they said about Josh Allen when he came in, no way he deserves to get, this is the negatives, no way he deserves to get drafted here. Coming out of Wyoming, couldn't be accurate in college. There's no way you can teach accuracy. Suddenly, he's one of the 4 or 5 best quarterbacks in the NFL. Still a young guy. I think going to win a Super Bowl. May end up winning multiple Super Bowls. I like the risk reward for Anthony Richardson. If you told me right now, hey, Clay, Tennessee Titans drafting Anthony Richardson at 11, I would like that risk. You know, if he fell to 11, if he's still available there, Tannehill, you think, has like a year left, bring him in, develop him. I don't think that's a bad pick. By the way, I'm a Titans fan. The Titans should go, in my opinion, with a tackle if they're not going quarterback. 11 is too early, I think, to go wide receiver, even with Ohio State's Jackson Smith-Ogba out there. So, to me, Anthony Richardson, second best quarterback. Hendon, third. I really see these guys as kind of even. I've gone back and forth on C.J. Stroud compared to Hendon Hooker. I think they are very similar quarterbacks. Ultimately, I'm going to go Stroud here, but it's a very iffy Stroud, right? I'm not sold on C.J. Stroud. I know that he made plays. He had an elite level wide receiving core. Great offensive line that gave him time. He very rarely had to make throws under duress. And I watched him play in person against Michigan, and he really didn't impress me. I know he was great against Georgia, but there were lots of performances, I thought, especially when you're throwing to Marvin Harrison Jr., who I could throw to and gain 1,000 yards. In this Ryan Day offense, I'm going to put C.J. Stroud in at 3. but I almost feel like there's a tie here. I'm putting Hendon Hooker at 4 because ultimately Josh Heupel's offense creates so much space. People say, okay, what's the job of offense and defense in football? It's a game of space, right? The offense is designed to create space. The defense is designed to remove it. If a team does a great job creating space, they win. If a team does a great job eliminating space, they tend to win, right? Football is a game of space. And so Hendon Hooker gets so many throws in single coverage, so many throws where Tennessee has wide receivers just galloping down the field wide open, a la Steve Spurrier back in the 90s. Remember the fun and gun Spurrier, where you look around and suddenly there's a wide receiver running down the field and nobody is on the same side of the field with him because the scheme and the playmaking ability was so great. And as a result, even to this day, nobody really has ever come out of that Spurrier offense. Heck, you can say about Anthony Richardson, Dan Mullen, but you got Dak Prescott there. Nobody's really come out of the Florida Gator system, either Urban Meyer or Steve Spurrier, and had a tremendous career, right? But Spurrier in particular created so much space. I'm a little bit nervous that's what Josh Heupel does. I love that he's Tennessee's coach, but it makes me a bit nervous that Josh Heupel is so good, it's hard to assess Hendon Hooker, right? That's my concern. That's why I've got Hendon Hooker at 4. I got Will Levis at 5. I do not believe in Will Levis. I do not believe that Will Levis is going to be an elite quarterback. If I'm wrong, people will clip this video and they will play it for years. I watch a ton of college football. I was not impressed with Will Levis's ability to see the field. I didn't think he extended plays well. I didn't think that his performance rose up the level of talent around him in a way that would befit a top 10 pick. And I understand he didn't have a great offensive line. I understand there were limited playmakers, although he had a really good running back. And I think that his freshman wide receiver, was it Berrien Brown, I think, I might mess his name up a little bit, but he's a Nashville kid, stud. Guy's got first-round wide receiving talent. I'm just not sold on what exactly is going on between the ears for Will Levis and his ability to see the field. So I don't like Will Levis. I'm surprised, flabbergasted even, that he's potentially going to be a first-round pick. We'll see. Probably the way my life as a Tennessee Titans fan goes, we'll draft a Will Levis. I'll be 100% right, and it'll make me hate my team.